He married another woman because his wife was poor. 1 year later, that same man lost everything: his mansion, his cars, his business. The new wife vanished. The old wife. She became his boss. How did this happen? What made him lose everything so fast? Why did the rich wife disappear? And what did his first wife do when she saw him again, broken and begging? Sit back and find out as we dive into this shocking story of pride, betrayal, and karma. This is the story of a man named Kunal, a man who had nothing. No office, no contracts, not even a stable income. But what he did have was a woman who believed in him. Her name was Bola. It was a quiet morning in their small 2-room apartment in Suralere. The power had gone out again, NEPA as usual. Bola woke up at 4 a.m. in the darkness. She lit a candle and walked to the kitchen. She was grinding pepper for akra. The sound filled the tiny room. Kunal was still sleeping on their second-hand mattress. When the akra was ready, Bola wrapped it in old newspaper and placed it beside the bed. Then she counted 500 Nigerian nairas from her small purse, her salary as a primary school teacher. She left the money on the table for his transport to the construction site. She looked at him sleeping and whispered a prayer: "God, please let this man succeed." Kunal opened his eyes and saw her standing there in her faded Ankara wrapper. He smiled. "Thank you, my wife. One day I will give you the world." Bola smiled back. "We will build it together." But when success finally came, Kunal forgot the woman who helped him build it. And that forgetting would cost him everything. 5 years had passed since their wedding day. 5 years of struggle, of hope, of building dreams brick by brick. And finally the breakthrough came. Kunal stood in their small sitting room, his phone pressed to his ear. His eyes were wide. His hands were shaking. When he ended the call, he looked at Bola and whispered, "We got it. The Lekki estate contract. 20 million naira." Bola's hands flew to her mouth. Tears poured down her face. "Jesus. Thank you, Jesus." She ran to him and they held each other tight, jumping up and down like children. That night she cooked his favorite, ifo riro with pounded yam. The whole house smelled of love and victory. The next Sunday they went to church. Bola gave her testimony, crying as she thanked God. The congregation clapped and shouted, "Amen." Everyone was happy for them. Finally, after years of waiting, Kunal's hard work was paying off. But something began to change. Within 2 weeks, Kunal moved his small office from their boys' quarters set up to a proper space on Victoria Island. He bought a black Mercedes-Benz. Not a small one, a C-Class. When he drove it home for the first time, neighbors gathered to see. Bola stood at the door, smiling proudly. "My husband," she whispered to herself. Then the late night started. Kunal began attending business mixers, networking events, cocktail parties. He would come home at 11 p.m., sometimes midnight. The smell of expensive perfume clung to his shirt. His breath carried the scent of imported whiskey. When Bola asked where he had been, he would wave his hand dismissively. "Business, Bola. This is how deals are made." One evening Bola was excited. She had bought a new Ankara fabric, beautiful blue and gold patterns. She had it sewn into a stylish dress. When Kunal walked in, she twirled in front of him. "Do you like it, my husband?" Kunal barely looked up from his phone. "Bola, can't you wear something more sophisticated? This local fabric thing, it's not?" He paused, searching for words. "It's not the image I'm building." Bola's smile froze. Her hands dropped to her sides. "Image? You know what I mean," Kunal said, walking past her to the bedroom. "I'm mixing with serious people now. CEOs, directors. Their wives were designers, not?" He gestured at her dress. "Not this." That night, Bola cried silently in the bathroom. She looked at herself in the mirror and wondered when her husband had started seeing her as an embarrassment. 2 weeks later, Kunal attended an exclusive event at Eco Hotel. The ballroom was filled with Lagos elite, men in expensive suits, women dripping in gold. Kunal felt out of place despite his new clothes. He stood near the bar, holding a glass of champagne he didn't really want. Then she appeared. A woman in a red dress that hugged every curve. Her makeup was flawless. Her jewelry caught the light with every movement. She walked straight to him, confidence in every step. "You're Kunal, aren't you?" Her voice was smooth, educated. "I'm Kudarat. You're the builder everyone's talking about." Kunal's heart skipped. He straightened his tie and smiled. And in that moment, everything began to unravel. The business lunches started innocently enough. At least that's what Kunal told himself. Kudarat would call him about investment opportunities. They would meet at Sailor's Restaurant in Victoria Island, sitting by the water, discussing real estate trends over grilled fish and expensive wine. She knew everyone: bank directors, oil company executives, politicians' wives. Her world was everything Connell had dreamed of. "A man of your caliber," she said one afternoon, leaning forward, "needs a partner who matches his vision. Someone who understands the game." She never mentioned Bola by name, but the message was clear. Connell found himself lying more and more. Late meeting with a client, he would text Bola. Networking dinner, don't wait up. The lies came easier each time. One Thursday evening, Bola saved money from her teaching salary to buy fish and vegetables. She cooked Connell's favorite soup, set the table nicely, and waited. The food got cold. 10 p.m. became 11 p.m. Midnight came and went. At 12:30 a.m., Connell stumbled through the door. His eyes were red. His steps were unsteady. "My husband, welcome," Bola said softly. "I cooked for you. Let me warm." "I ate already," Connell cut her off, walking past her. Bola stood still. Something red caught her eye on his collar. She moved closer. Lipstick. Red lipstick. Her heart began to pound. "Connell, who is she?" He turned slowly. His face hardened. "What did you say?" "The lipstick on your shirt," Bola's voice trembled. "Who is she?" Connell exploded. "You're suffocating me. Every day the same thing: where are you going, when are you coming back? I can't breathe in this house." "I only asked." "You want to know the truth?" Connell's words were cruel now. "You're too local, Bola. You embarrass me. My colleagues' wives, they speak English properly. They know how to dress. They know how to carry themselves. But you're still grinding pepper at 4 a.m. like a village woman." Bola felt something break inside her chest. In 5 years of marriage, Connell had never spoken to her this way. Never. "I supported you," she whispered. "When you had nothing, I gave you everything I had. That was then." Connell shouted. "People change. People grow. Maybe you should try it." He walked into the bedroom and slammed the door. Bola stood in the sitting room, the cold food still on the table, tears streaming down her face. Outside, Lagos traffic hummed in the distance. Inside, her marriage was dying. And somewhere in Lekki, in a luxury apartment, Kudarat was smiling at her phone. Connell had just sent a text. "I'm sorry about tonight. Can we meet tomorrow?" She typed back, "Of course, darling. I understand. Tomorrow at our usual place." The trap was closing. And Connell was walking right into it. It happened on a Saturday morning. Connell was in the shower. His phone was charging on the bedside table. It buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times. Bola looked at it. She had never checked his phone before. Never. But something told her to look. Her hands were shaking as she picked it up. WhatsApp messages from Ka. The display name meant nothing, but when she opened it, her world stopped. Screenshots of hotel receipts. Messages that said, "Last night was amazing." Another one, "I can't wait to be your wife properly. We belong together." And photos. Photos of Connell and Kudarat at restaurants, at beaches, at places Bola had never been. The bathroom door opened. Connell walked out with a towel around his waist. He saw Bola holding his phone, saw her face wet with tears, and he knew. "Connell." Her voice broke. "Who is this woman?" He didn't apologize. Didn't beg. Instead, he sat on the bed and spoke with a calmness that was more frightening than anger. "Bola, I'm not happy anymore." "What?" "This marriage. It's not working. You don't fit the life I'm building." Bola dropped the phone. She fell to her knees. "Please. Please don't do this. We can fix it. We can." "There's nothing to fix," Connell said coldly. "I've made up my mind." 2 days later, on Monday evening, Connell came home with a brown envelope. He placed it on the table in front of Bola. "What is this?" she asked, though she already knew. "Divorce papers. I had my lawyer prepare them." Bola's legs gave way. She collapsed onto the sofa. "No. No, Connell, please." She ran to their bedroom and returned with their wedding album. Her hands were shaking as she opened it. Look at us. You said you would love me forever. You said." "That was before," Connell interrupted. "People grow, Bola. Some people grow apart." She showed him a photo of their first apartment. "I paid your business registration fees with my salary. I woke up at 4 a.m. every day to make sure you ate. I believed in you when no one else did." "And I'm grateful," Connell said, standing up. "But gratitude is not love. I need more than what you can give me." The family interventions came fast. Connell's mother arrived, crying and begging. "Omo me, don't do this. This woman stood by you. She is a good woman. Kunal looked away. Mama, please. My mind is made up. Bola's uncle came, threatening. If you disgrace our daughter like this, you will answer to our family. Kunal didn't flinch. I'm not doing anything illegal. We're both adults. The church elders called a meeting. Pastor Williams pleaded with him for 2 hours. Brother Kunal, marriage is a covenant before God. Don't let the enemy destroy what God has built. But Kunal had stopped listening. His phone buzzed in his pocket. A message from Kudarat. Have you told her yet? I'm waiting for you. 1 week later, Kunal packed his things: designer suits, Italian shoes, expensive watches. Everything fit into 3 leather suitcases. He walked to the door without looking back. Bola lay on their bed, staring at the ceiling, clutching his pillow. It still smelled like him. In the sitting room, their wedding photo hung on the wall, 2 young people smiling with hope. They had no idea what was coming. The door closed, and Bola was alone. 6 months later, Lagos was talking about the wedding of the year. The Eco Hotel ballroom was transformed into a paradise of gold and white. Asoebi cost 50,000 Nigerian nairas per piece. Only serious people could afford it. The cake was 5 layers tall, imported from South Africa. Live band, celebrity MC, and a guest list that read like Nigeria's rich and famous directory. Kudarat stood at the altar in a 5 million Nigerian nairas gold-encrusted wedding gown. Her makeup artist had flown in from Dubai just for this day. Photographers' cameras flashed continuously. This was the society wedding everyone wanted to attend. Kunal stood beside her in a custom-made Italian suit, smiling wide. When they sprayed money during the reception, naira notes rained down like confetti. At least 1 million Nigerian nairas disappeared into the air. People clapped and cheered. This is what success looks like, Kunal whispered to himself, watching the crowd celebrate. On that same day at that same hour, Bola was sitting on the floor of a single room in Mushin. 1 bag. 1 borrowed mattress. 4 plates. 2 pots. That was everything she owned now. The room was empty except for her and her thoughts. Through the thin walls, she could hear neighbors arguing, children crying, Lagos noise pressing in from all sides. This was not the life she had imagined. She opened a small notebook, the only thing she had bought with the divorce settlement money. Kunal had given her 2 million Nigerian nairas. Just 2 million Nigerian nairas after 5 years of marriage. His lawyer had called it more than generous. Bola wiped her tears and wrote in the notebook, Day 1. Restarting. Meanwhile, Kunal and Kudarat drove from Eco Hotel to their new home, a 150 million Nigerian nairas mansion in Lekki Phase 1. The house had 6 bedrooms, a swimming pool, a cinema room, and a view of the lagoon. It's perfect. Kudarat squealed, running through the empty rooms in her reception dress. But darling, we need to redecorate everything. This furniture is too basic. Kunal laughed. Whatever you want, my wife. 2 weeks later, Kudarat threw a housewarming party. She invited 200 guests. The catering alone cost 3 million Nigerian nairas. She hired a live band for 2 million Nigerian nairas. Decorations another 2 million Nigerian nairas. The bill came to 8 million Nigerian nairas for one night. Kunal's accountant called him the next day. Oga, the company account is getting low. Maybe we should. Don't worry, Kunal interrupted. More contracts are coming. Just pay the bills. He hung up and looked at Kudarat lounging by their pool in a designer swimsuit, sipping champagne. She was everything he thought he wanted, sophisticated, connected, beautiful. In Mushin, Bola was washing her only 2 wrappers by hand. No washing machine. No house help. Just her, a bucket and detergent soap. But something was different in her eyes. The tears had dried. Something harder had taken their place. She hung the clothes on a line and looked up at the sky. God, she whispered, I don't know how, but I will survive this. I will not let this destroy me. The sun was setting over Lagos. In Lekki, Kunal was living in luxury, convinced he had made the right choice. In Mushin, Bola was planning her comeback. 2 destinies. One rising. One about to fall. And neither of them knew that in exactly 1 year, their positions would be completely reversed. At 4 a.m. Bola's alarm rang. It was still dark outside. She got up from her thin mattress, said a prayer and got dressed. By 4:30 a.m. she was on a bus heading to Mile 12 Market. The market was chaos, traders shouting, trucks unloading, the smell of fresh vegetables and dried fish filling the air. Bola had taken her 2 million Nigerian nairas divorce settlement and made a decision. She would open a provisions shop. She bought rice in bulk, bought beans, bought gari, bought oils and seasonings. She learned to negotiate prices to spot quality goods, to calculate profit margins in her head. By 7 a.m. she was back in Mushin, arranging everything in her small shop, Mama B Provisions. The first customers were skeptical. Another new shop? Would it last? But Bola did something different. She was fair. She never cheated on the scale. If a struggling mother needed credit, Bola wrote it down and trusted her to pay later. Slowly word spread. That woman at the corner, she's honest. She gives correct measure. She helped me when I had no money. 6 months later, Bola opened a second shop in Ikeja. Nothing big, just another small store. But it was progress. Every naira she made she saved or reinvested. No waste. No show. Just steady growth. In Lekki, Kunal's life was moving in the opposite direction. Kudarat spent money like water flowing downhill. 3 million Nigerian nairas every month on parties, shopping trips to Dubai, maintaining her circle of socialite friends. She bought designer bags that cost more than some people's annual salary. Kunal darling, she said one morning over breakfast, my brother needs work. He has a supply company. You should give him a contract. Kunal hesitated. I don't know, I haven't seen his. Are you saying you don't trust my family? Kudarat's voice turned cold. No, of course not. I'll arrange it. And so Kudarat's brother got a 15 million Nigerian naira supply contract for a client's estate. He was supposed to deliver quality building materials. Instead, he delivered substandard cement, weak steel rods and disappeared with most of the money. The client inspected the site and exploded. What is this rubbish? You think I'm a fool? He cancelled the entire project and demanded a 10 million Nigerian nairas refund. Kunal's company account took a massive hit. He tried to talk to Kudarat about it that evening. Baby, we need to slow down on spending. The business is facing some challenges. Challenges? Kudarat looked up from her phone, eyes flashing. Are you saying I'm embarrassing you? You wanted this life, Kunal. You wanted the big wedding, the Lekki house, the society friends. Now you're complaining? I'm just saying we should be wise. Wise? My friends' husbands buy them Range Rovers. They vacation in the Maldives. And you're here talking about being wise? Kunal backed down. He was too proud to admit that marrying Kudarat might have been a mistake. Too proud to admit that the life he thought he wanted was drowning him. In Mushin, Bola was counting her profits for the month. 180,000 Nigerian nairas. She smiled. It wasn't much, but it was hers. Honest money. Clean money. In Lekki, Kunal was staring at his company's bank statement. 4 million Nigerian nairas left. 6 months ago, it had been 40 million Nigerian nairas. The grind continued. One rising slowly through discipline. The other sinking fast through excess. And time was running out. The letter came on a Monday morning. It was from the bank. Bold red letters at the top. Mortgage default notice. Kunal's hands shook as he read it. He was 8 million Nigerian nairas behind on the Lekki mansion payments. The bank was giving him 30 days to pay or face foreclosure. He sat down heavily on the leather sofa, the same sofa Kudarat had insisted on buying for 2.5 million Nigerian nairas. Everything in the house suddenly looked like a mistake. That afternoon things got worse. 2 bank agents arrived with a tow truck. They were there for his Mercedes-Benz and Kudarat's Range Rover. What is happening? Kudarat screamed from the balcony as they hooked up the cars. Kunal, do something. Neighbors came out to watch. Whispers spread like wildfire. The big man from number 7 was losing his cars. The same cars he had shown off just months ago. Kunal stood there, helpless, as the tow truck drove away with both vehicles. His face burned with shame. The call started next. Friends he had partied with, guys who had drunk his champagne. Their numbers suddenly didn't connect. Or they claimed not to know him. Kunal who? Sorry, wrong number. Business partners were more direct. We're withdrawing from the Victoria Gardens project. Your judgment lately, we can't risk it. Even Kudarat's society friends stopped visiting. No more brunches. No more parties. The house that used to be full of people and laughter became silent and cold. Then came the final blow. Kunal got a call at 2 a.m. His warehouse was on fire. He rushed there in a taxi, no more Mercedes, and stood watching everything burn. 25 million Nigerian nairas worth of building materials turned to ash and smoke. The insurance, Oga? His manager asked, coughing from the smoke. Kunal closed his eyes. The insurance. He had let it lapse 3 months ago because Kudarat had wanted a yacht party for her birthday. The money that should have paid the insurance premium had gone to champagne and a DJ. He sat down on the curb, put his hands on his head and stared at the flames. This was the traditional Yoruba gesture of complete despair. Everything was gone. The fire department came too late. They sprayed water on the remaining embers, but there was nothing left to save. As dawn broke over Lagos, Kunnel sat in the ashes of his warehouse. Workers stood around not knowing what to say. Some were crying, they knew their jobs were finished. Kunnel's phone buzzed. A text from the bank. Final notice. Mansion foreclosure proceedings begin in 14 days. Another text, this one from his accountant. Hoga, company account balance. 47,000 Nigerian nairas. We can't make payroll this week. Kunnel looked at his phone and wanted to throw it into the smoking ruins. But what good would that do? The destruction was complete. In Ikeja, Bola was opening her second shop for the day. A customer walked in, a young mother Bola had given credit to months ago. Mama B, I came to pay my balance. 5,000 Nigerian nairas. Thank you for trusting me. Bola smiled and took the money. You're welcome, my sister. How is your baby? Fine, ma. God will bless you. After the customer left, Bola counted the morning's earnings and entered them in her notebook. The business was growing. Slowly, steadily, honestly. She didn't know that across Lagos, the man who had thrown her away was watching his entire world collapse. But somehow, even if she had known, it wouldn't have made her happy. Because Bola wasn't built that way. She was too busy building her own life to celebrate someone else's destruction. 2 weeks before the final eviction date, Kunnel sat in what used to be his mansion. Most of the furniture was gone, sold to pay debts. The house echoed when he walked. The swimming pool was green with algae. The generator had been repossessed. He had spent the day trying to get loans. Every bank said no. Every investor hung up. His name in Lagos business circles had become toxic. When he got home that evening, he found Cuterat in their bedroom, packing. Not just a small bag, her entire wardrobe was coming off the hangers. Louis Vuitton suitcases lay open on the bed. What are you doing? Kunnel asked, though his heart already knew. My friend Saad has a flat in London. I need space to think, Cuterat said without looking at him. Space to think? Cuterat, this is when I need you most. She finally turned to face him and her expression was ice. Need me? Kunnel looked around. There's nothing here. The cars are gone. The house is being taken. Your business is finished. We can rebuild. Together we can. Together? She laughed, a bitter sound. Let me tell you something, Kunnel. I married a successful man. I married someone who could give me the life I deserve. But you have nothing. You are nothing. So that's it? When things get hard, you just leave. Cuterat zipped up her suitcase. Don't make this about loyalty. You wanted me because I was glamorous, because I made you look good. It was never about love. For either of us. So don't act surprised now. When will you be back? Kunnel's voice was small, defeated. She picked up her bags and walked to the door. She didn't answer his question. She just looked at him one last time, shook her head and walked out. Her heels clicked on the marble floor, click, 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 until the sound faded and the front door slammed. Kunnel stood alone in the empty bedroom. He pulled out his phone and tried calling her. The number didn't connect. He tried WhatsApp. Blocked. Instagram. Blocked. Everything. She had erased him completely. 3 days later, the bank came with police. Mr. Kunnel, you need to vacate the premises now. Please, just 1 more week. I'm expecting. Sir, we've been patient. You need to leave. Now. They literally escorted him out with his 2 remaining bags. He stood on the street, looking back at the mansion he had bought to impress people who didn't care about him. He tried calling friends. No answer. He tried calling his business partners. Numbers disconnected. He even tried calling some of Cuterat's friends. They laughed and hung up. He had nowhere to go. That night, Kunnel found himself back at his burnt warehouse. The roof was gone, destroyed in the fire. Rain could come through. But it was shelter. It was all he had. He sat on the concrete floor, his back against the charred wall, and watched cars pass on the expressway. Expensive cars. Cars like he used to drive. People going home to warm beds and families. And Kunnel? He sat in the ruins of his pride, finally understanding what he had lost. Not just money. Not just property. He had lost the one person who had truly loved him. The one person who would have stood by him through this. The one person whose value he couldn't see until it was too late. The rain started. Cold drops fell through the broken roof onto his head. Kunnel didn't move. He just sat there, hands on his head, and finally let himself cry. Folek had heard the rumors. In Lagos, bad news travels faster than good news. Someone had told someone who told someone else, and the story reached her. Your brother is living in a burnt warehouse. At first she didn't believe it. Not Connell. Not her brother who had been driving a Mercedes just months ago. But the rumors persisted, and she knew she had to see for herself. She drove to the warehouse location one Sunday afternoon. What she found broke her heart. Connell was sitting outside the burnt structure, dirty clothes, uncombed hair, eating pure water and bread. He looked like a madman. This wasn't her brother. This was a shell of him. "Connell," she called out. He looked up, squinting in the sunlight. When he recognized her, shame washed over his face. He looked away. Folake walked closer, tears already forming. "Is this where you're living? Is this what you've become? Folake, please. I don't need a lecture." "A lecture?" Her voice rose with fury and pain. "I told you. Everyone told you. Mama was on her knees begging you not to divorce Bola. Your friends warned you about that woman. But you wanted to shine. You wanted to belong to the big boys. And now look at you." Connell said nothing. What could he say? She was right. Folake wiped her tears angrily. "You threw away gold for painted brass. That's what you did. Bola loved you. She loved you, Connell. With everything. And you treated her like garbage." "I know," Connell whispered. You know. Folake's voice cracked. "If you knew, why did you do it?" Connell finally looked at his sister. His eyes were red hollow. "I was stupid. I thought success meant I deserved better. I thought she wasn't enough. But I was wrong, Folake. I was so wrong." Folake stood there, torn between anger at what he'd done and heartbreak at seeing her brother like this. Finally, family won. Blood won. "I can't watch my brother suffer like this," she said quietly. "Come. Let me take you somewhere." "Where?" "Nobody wants me. I already spoke to someone." Connell looked at her, confused. "Who would agree to see me?" Folake didn't answer. She just motioned to her car. "Come." Connell gathered his few belongings and got in. As they drove through Lagos, past Mushin, past Yaba, into Ikeja, he wondered where they were going. Then Folake pulled up in front of a warehouse. A real, functioning warehouse with trucks outside and workers moving goods. A sign hung above the entrance, "Bola Wholesale Enterprises." Connell's blood froze. "No. Folake, no. Please. Anywhere but here." "You have no choice," Folake said firmly. "And before you say anything, she's the only one who agreed to see you. Everyone else said no." "Everyone. But Bola said yes." "Why? Why would she?" "I don't know, Connell. Maybe you should ask her yourself." Connell looked at the warehouse. Through the open door, he could see inside, shelves stocked with goods, workers in uniform moving efficiently, the hum of a successful business. And somewhere inside was Bola. The woman he had betrayed. The woman whose love he had thrown away. "I can't," Connell whispered. "I can't face her." Folake turned to him. "Then stay in that burnt warehouse and die slowly. Your choice." She got out of the car. After a long moment, Connell followed. His legs felt weak. His heart was pounding. With every step toward that warehouse door, he felt smaller and smaller. This was it. The moment of reckoning. The moment when pride would finally meet truth. Inside the warehouse, Bola was checking inventory sheets. She wore simple business attire, a modest dress, flat shoes, her natural hair in a neat bun. No designer labels. No expensive jewelry. Just clean, professional, confident. She heard footsteps and looked up. Time stopped. There in the doorway stood Connell, dirty clothes hanging off his thin frame, hollow eyes, hands trembling at his sides. Next to him was Folake, watching nervously. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Workers sensed something and quietly moved to other parts of the warehouse, giving them space. Bola's face showed no emotion. Not anger. Not joy. Nothing. She simply looked at the man who had once been her husband. Finally she spoke. "Connell." Her voice was steady, controlled. "Bola, Connell's voice broke. He couldn't finish. Bola walked closer. She stopped a few feet away. "I won't pretend this doesn't hurt to see you like this. I won't pretend I don't remember everything that happened." Connell looked at the floor. He couldn't meet her eyes. "But," Bola continued, "I also won't pretend I take joy in your suffering. That's not who I am." She paused, and in that silence, Connell finally understood something. He had thought leaving Bola meant leaving behind weakness, leaving behind his poor past. But he had actually left behind strength. Real strength. The kind that doesn't need validation from others. "I have a position available in my warehouse," Bola said. "Sorting and packing. The pay is 60,000 Nigerian nairas per month. If you work hard and prove yourself, you can progress. The choice is yours." Connell's pride flickered for a moment. 60,000 Nigerian nairas? He used to spend that on one dinner. He used to. But then reality crashed back. He had nothing. No job. No home. No options. Why? He whispered, finally looking up at her. Why would you help me after what I did to you? Bola looked at him directly. Her eyes were clear, strong. Because IWL Ava, Colonel, character is what defines us, not money. Not status. Not the cars we drive or the houses we live in. Character. She took a breath. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for the woman I am. The woman I've always been. The woman you couldn't see. She walked to a small office and returned with work clothes. A simple uniform with the company logo. She handed them to Colonel. Tomorrow morning. 6 a.m. sharp. If you're late, don't bother coming. Colonel took the clothes with shaking hands. Thank you, he managed to say. Thank you, Bola. She nodded once, then turned back to her inventory sheets. The meeting was over. There would be no tears, no dramatic reconciliation, no Hollywood ending. Just business. Just mercy. Just character showing itself when it mattered most. Folake touched Colonel's arm. Let's go. As they walked out, Colonel looked back once. Bola was talking to a worker, explaining something about a shipment. She looked peaceful. Complete. Like someone who had walked through fire and come out stronger. And Colonel? He was holding the uniform of his new reality. 6 months later, the warehouse ran like clockwork. Colonel was there every morning at 6 a.m. sorting boxes, loading trucks, sweating through honest work for the first time in years. He lived in a single room in Yaba. Tiny, basic, humbling. Bola treated him fairly but maintained professional distance. She had moved on. There were rumors she was dating someone, a respectful accountant who treated her well. She neither confirmed nor denied it. That part of her life was no longer Colonel's business. One night, after a long day of work, Colonel sat on his bed in that small room. He pulled out an old photo from his bag, the only thing he had kept from his past. It showed him and Bola on their wedding day, young and hopeful, smiling at the camera. He traced Bola's face in the photo with his finger. A single tear fell onto the picture. I finally understand what I lost, he whispered to the empty room. But some lessons come too late to fix what was broken. Outside his window, Lagos continued its endless rhythm. Cars honking, people shouting, life moving forward whether you were ready or not. Colonel placed the photo face down on his small table. Tomorrow would come early. 6 a.m. always came. And he would be there at Bola's warehouse, working for the woman he had once thought wasn't good enough for him. The woman who had saved him, not because she still loved him but because she was too strong, too dignified, too full of character to let anyone, even him, suffer if she could help. IWL Ava, he whispered, remembering her words. Character is beauty. He finally learned. But as the narrator's voice would say, he finally learned what he lost. But some lessons come too late to fix what was broken. Still he learned. And that is something. This story teaches us that character, IWA, is the true measure of a person. Money can come and go like the wind. But how you treat people when you have nothing and how you treat them when you have everything, that is who you really are. Never forget the people who stood by you in your struggles. Never let success make you cruel. Because life is a circle and what goes around truly comes around.